Yeah, so I landed a couple of offers, and that really helped boost my confidence as well. And then, yeah, I didn't actually know how to negotiate, so I called you, and you were like, "Okay, let's talk about how to negotiate." And I was able to, at least one of the offers, I was able to double the offer. The other one, I was able to extract the most value that I could. I think it was at least 25% more in equity and base pay and bonus. Yeah, I'm not trying to swim against a rising tide anymore. I'm surfing the tide.
Hey Aman, thanks for taking the time to speak about our coaching. The first thing we'll start with is could you introduce yourself, like who you are, what do you do, and where you live?
So I'm a senior software engineer at a self-driving company called Zoox. Been there for a while, and I live in San Francisco. I moved here after finishing grad school to work at the company, and I've been there ever since.
So we're going to talk about our coaching experience. But before we do that, let's talk quickly about where were you before you started working with us? What were some of the challenges you're facing and what brought you to coaching?
Yeah, I think the main challenge I was facing was I felt really stuck in my life in general. I wasn't making a lot of professional progress. I felt stagnated. I felt confused about also the way I felt and basically use my potential to the fullest. And I felt like I was lagging behind more so recently in the last couple of years.
Through our work together, what are some of the results, either tangible or intangible? Intangible could be just feelings and how you change internally. Some of the results you've gotten by working together.
I think the number one result I got initially was how to be a better listener and not just to listen to respond, but to listen to understand. And then also, apply that to conflict resolution and disagreements and how to try to really empathize with the other person and really try to listen in order to seek understanding. I started focusing a lot more on professional coaching where I could really try to understand the role of a manager and the management chain in a company and how to work as a team with my manager and the management team and how to upward manage expectations and how to really learn to take feedback as a way to get into growth mode and not really think of it as a way that my manager is using to criticize me. It's all constructive and looking at it in a constructive manner and using the perspective of growth. I was really able to work together with my manager to really build good rapport, to build a good relationship. And now we basically work together really well as a team and we're able to set goals together, work together to achieve them, and really talk about, how to put myself on a professional path to a promotion within the company and basically work on more challenging projects.
Being able to get even more kind of more interesting work and
More interesting work, yeah, and exactly, and basically use my manager and their managers as a means for my progress, basically, and how to work with them to kind of really up level my career within the company.
it's amazing like how many people just assume manager knows what you want, and even communicating those things are difficult in the beginning. We worked on that also.
Yeah, I think that was the other challenge I had is I always just saw a performance review as a way the company was using to kind of attack me, and I felt every performance review that I was getting just trampled on. So now the last couple of performance reviews that I've had have been more about learning and how to actually grow into a person professionally and even carries over personally that is going to be successful in the next role. I think that is more sustainable rather than just checking off boxes that are like A, B, and C, and then you go there and then you just find yourself in maybe a bit more trouble. Kind of switching the perspective on it being a way to grow into a type of person and develop a certain type of personality that can be successful in a higher role is really the mindset shift that was required.
And you mentioned it also carries over personally, like with friends or with at
Yeah,
home.
yeah, I think it's carried over personally in the sense that, I mean, I'm sure you notice, like in our communication as well, it's more as somebody who is curious, who wants to learn, is open to a different perspective, extremely open-minded, and you try to understand the other person's perspective and then use it as a measure for your own perspective, right? And then using a more scientific approach rather than just feeling attacked and criticized anytime somebody disagrees with you. So I think a lot of these things carried over personally in my relationships, even with my friends, where I can also try to understand when they feel differently about things than I do, and really trying to understand those through genuine curiosity by asking questions. I think this thing you call was causal reductionism, and applying that to this type, using that as a way to really understand was more helpful, and it, in fact, allows others to see that I'm also listening because I'm asking questions in the process of doing this causal reductionism, and this makes the other person also feel like that they're being heard.
Has any of that led to better performance or a better working relationship?
I think, yeah, I mean, barring all the technical work, which is, kind of my responsibility, I would say even when I'm lagging behind, in my projects and I've slacked a little bit, having built rapport with management can really offset that negative perception.
We're working together for your promotion, not working against.
Yeah, I'm not trying to swim against a rising tide anymore. I'm surfing the tide.
Are there any other things that leveled up your career?
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. I think one of them was doing weekly or monthly reviews. So I think about how the week was at the end of the week, whenever I get time, either at the beginning of the next week or on the weekend, to write down some key points, some learnings that I had, how I could have done things differently, and of course, any progress I made that can count towards my calibration reviews. And then the other thing was also doing bigger reviews at the end of the quarter, which I use to feed into future growth.
Through this process of review and preparing, you ended up getting much better job offers also, which you didn't end up getting because, well, I think there are some constraints around, like, I don't want this kind of job. Can you speak about that experience?
Yeah, so I started strongly thinking about my current role, and while I was working on, all the possible ways to land a promotion or a different role in my current job, I also started implementing the principles of like this slow burn job search that I learned in coaching. I kept up doing technical interview practice. I slowly worked on a presentation that I could use for these job interviews. I actively started engaging with recruiters everywhere possible, and lining up interviews straight back to back for multiple weeks.
And what I found very interesting about you was that even after interviews, you got offers. You even got like a bunch of raises, over 100K raise or something, but you decide not to just go for it because that's not the right fit, and you still care enough about current company and making it work that you decided to do that. Can you speak about that experience?
Yeah, so I landed a couple of offers, and that really helped boost my confidence as well. And then, yeah, I didn't actually know how to negotiate, so I called you, and you were like, "Okay, let's talk about how to negotiate." And I took some notes while we were talking. I took those notes. I called the recruiter back, again, very cordially, no threats, nothing. Didn't talk about whether I have a separate offer or not. I focused on my value and tried to sell them. Negotiated peacefully, carefully, thoughtfully, with empathy, and I was able to, at least one of the offers, I was able to double the offer. The other one, I was able to extract the most value that I could. I think it was at least 25% more in equity and base pay and bonus. And I was able to also, create a relationship with the recruiters in the process. I didn't piss them off. I didn't say I'm out or that I don't like you guys. Nothing. It was very professional. In a way, I left the door open in case I need to come back and maybe restart the negotiation at a different time in the future. Yeah, I think the confidence piece was the self-esteem boost that I got from negotiating. I think I was really absorbed into negotiating at one point where I just forgot that it's a job that I'm going for, but I was just really obsessed with negotiating, and it just kind of became like a really interesting process to me, and I kept on pushing, 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 just because I really wanted to learn and make myself better with negotiation.
This is, we help some, but you also are a good executor. You follow through. You have a growth mindset. You are a learning sponge, and that's a big part of working on coaching. It's not like a coach can fix anything. It's more about you're able to implement those things and get feedback. We were talking very regularly during the negotiation, so we can help you through every single step. What will you say to those people who are thinking about joining maybe?
I think the biggest thing is that you have to trust the coach. Like, don't expect magic. When you go into coaching, it's a real effort you have to put in. And it may sound weird that, okay, I'm paying so much money. Why do I have to put an effort? I mean, you can choose not to put any effort in, but you don't get anything out of it. And then you'll be more disgruntled and more upset. And you're just going to end up repeating the same flawed patterns that you're stuck in. So if you want to break those habits and patterns, you have to trust your coach. You have to be willing to be vulnerable and open up about what you believe are your problems, and be willing to accept criticism about yourself and accept that these criticisms are there to help you grow.
Thanks for sharing your experience, Aman. Really appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.